Welcome to Abandoned Tech Videos, and today I'm going to be showing off my server room. Okay, so let's start off with the network switch. So this is a Netgear Ethernet switch. This is 1 gigabit switch that is managed, and you can see the activity. And then I have a Raspberry Pi. So this manages not just weather information. I have a little SDR plugged in here, and this takes in all the 433 megahertz devices around my house and logs the data in a nice graph and logs in a database so I can view that. And then I have a UPS down here. So this is a APC UPS Pro 100S, I think. 100, yeah. And it has a USB cable plugged in to the back, which comes up the Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi acts as a APC like server, so not only can this device see the power left on it, but also the servers can see that over the network without having to have a network card in that device actually. So the other thing that's plugged into this is a this thing that is just like an electronics kit. But inside I have an Arduino with a little pressure sensor, and that's more weather stuff. Moving on, let's talk about the server. So the first server I bought, in fact, was this Dell R710. This Dell R710, I think it's dated to back to like 2009, and it was probably used in like a data center at some point. They sold it, and I bought it from Amazon. Pretty cheap price, is $100, about $150, and it came with two hard drives. Each one of these two are 300 gigabytes, and then coming down here I have a 500 gig and a 1 terabyte, which is not marked because I had to put that one in physically. And then up here we have a Dell PowerEdge R620, and this Dell PowerEdge R620 was the second server I bought, and this runs Unraid. The first one runs VMware, the second one runs Unraid. None of this is on because I just haven't had the time to turn it on. Better to not waste power and leave it on all the time. Anyways, we have two 1 terabyte drives, and these two 1 terabyte drives are one's a parity drive, the other is the like physical data drive, and this has the capability of doing up to 8 hard drives, same with the bottom one, and top one has like a 2 gigahertz processor, and this one has like a 1.76 gigahertz processor in it. Now, that's pretty much all of the connected stuff. I have some other stuff, but I'll show you the back of the server because it is kind of interesting, I feel. So I have all these cables that are like bunched up. And yes, I use twisty ties to tie everything together. I mean, but anyways, so on the back here, there's, you can see all the blinking lights and the fancy and, yeah, cool stuff. I also have another RTL to SDR plugged in for scanning, and I have an SDR server running on one of these servers. It's this one, I believe. So that pretty much concludes it. The other thing, I don't have Ethernet run throughout my house, specifically in the basement. So I have a like range extender, and that takes the Wi-Fi and puts it into an Ethernet connection. That Ethernet cable plugs into this mini switch here, which has all these connections going to the back. So that's how I get internet through the network. And essentially I have a pfSense router on this phone system, a DNS server, and then up here I have Unraid, which runs a couple of different virtual machines, and one of those is like a security camera software, but I don't have any security camera set up as of yet, so it's not really being used. So we'll come back to whatever the rest of this stuff is. We'll find out in a second. Right there I have a Sangoma S505 phone. The reason I'm zoomed in is because this area is kind of blocked from me getting in there, and there are spiders everywhere, and I hate spiders. So here's that white cable I was talking about. This white cable is going to run, it's going to keep going, still going, and this is where it stops. So I kind of lied about Ethernet, but this is a switch. It just retransmits the signal to up, goes up, and then that goes upstairs to another room that I can access everything wired into the system instead of just remotely via like wireless. So that's what this cable is for. It's a long one. That's why it's not blue, because I haven't bought a longer one. This is just one I had laying around that I decided to use. Actually, I even had to replace the end to the cable because I don't know if it's still down here. I don't think so. But the end was like all broken and had the end was all broken. It had the clip for the plug. I don't know what that's called. The thing that locks in place. It had this part. It had this part that was broken on it. Anyways, now that I've just disconnected the entire network upstairs, I'm going to replug that in. So, the next thing we're going to talk about is I'm going to turn the light on to see, so you can't see anything. This is a printer. This is a very old printer. It's a digital printer. Look at all this shit that's on my feet now. This is a digital printer. This is a DeckLaser 2100 Plus. This is a digital corporation printer, and digital sucks because it's no longer in business. Anyways, they tried to do they went out of business for, I don't know why they went out of business, but they went out of business. It's got a nice little screen, actually. For its time, this is probably a pretty high-end printer. It's a laser printer. This, because of the name, it says DeckLaser. And it has this nice little paper tray that you could, like, take out. I'm not going to because it probably disrupt all the service on that. This is a DeckServer 300, and this is supposed to be a print server. This thing doesn't work for whatever reason. It stopped working at some point. I don't know. I tried pressing all these buttons when it's plugged in. Nothing works. I mean, that's supposed to be a circuit breaker there. And I don't know. It just doesn't work. It was working at first. I mean, it had the display would light up. The fans would be running. There's actually fans in there. And then I didn't realize how any of this worked. But actually, there's this plug. I'll do a video on these later. Anyways, it plugs into here and allows you to basically get Ethernet. I mean, it has the old BNC connector for other stuff, but that's slower and nobody likes that. So we're gonna plug this in. It's made by Black Box, is a company that's actually local to me, which I was kind of interested why like they made something like this, and they don't make that stuff anymore. But it plugs right into there, and basically you get Ethernet from it, and it's only 10 base T stuff, and that's like what, 10 gigabits or something, or 10 megabits, not gigabits. That way too fast for this time. But this is 10 megabit connection, which, I mean, I'm not going to use any of that. That's for another system. So this stuff is a separate system, but it's basically my 90s office, I like to call it, because I want to have like a 90s office system set up with a bunch of windows. And that's where this thing comes into play. This is just a workstation. It's a Windows 95 workstation. It's not plugged in, but it's a Gateway 2000, the Pentium processor. I don't know. I think it's Pentium 2. I don't know. It's kind of like assuming everything's Pentium 2, but this is really cool. I like this thing. This is a digital TS-Z07. It's a real tape drive, and you can see that in there. So it takes a reel-to-reel tape, which we actually have a couple of tapes. I think we have the feel also, or whatever thing that you need to enable a writing feature or something or other. Has a nice little display. This thing does work. I powered it up before. I have not used it, but I know it does power on. And then this is a Alpha Server 4100. This thing, I mean, compared to these guys, compared to these two, I mean, that thing's kind of a dinosaur. But for a 90s office, like, setup, it's fine. It runs nothing, because the operating system, these disks, come to find out, these disks are very old, and if you jostle them a little too much, they kind of like to die on you. And I found that out the hard way, because this thing doesn't boot because of that. And I don't even think it has RAID on it, so I mean, it probably does, but I don't know. And these hard drives are very expensive, very old. They're SCSI.
Alright, so I really messed up this part. What I meant to say is the drives in the older server are SCSI, and the drives in the newer server are SAS. SAS stands for Serial Attached SCSI, which is essentially a faster version of SCSI drives and came after SCSI drives. So essentially, that's what I was trying to say. I don't know why I messed this part up so bad, but yeah, let's continue the video.
But they're supposed to be faster or something. And then these are the little cables that plug into the to each drawer. They're called drawers. They're called drawers, and they go to the back of the server. They plug into like a bunch of terminal ports, right? SCSI terminal ports, and then each one has its own power supply. So there's 2 CPU units. The way to tell is 1, 2, 3. This is capability of having 3 CPU units. 2 of these, they both have RAM. They're both processors. There's a CD-ROM and a, if this thing would focus, floppy drive. And then each drawer for the disks has their own power supply. And they also have like warning lights on each one. So that's pretty much it. This has been a little mini server room tour that I just wanted to document and show everyone on YouTube. So yeah, pretty neat. And then there's a bunch of like holiday like film tapes here. I don't know. Those aren't. I don't deal with that. Other than that, this has been my little mini system tour. And yeah, like and subscribe.